program, Mr. Ners Priyo, Master of Nursing, along with the head of the Bachelor of Nursing, Mr. Ners Sadiq Kamal, Master of Science. To our attendants and guests from Nursing Associate in 245. And to our standing speaker from abroad, Dr. Muhammad Musa from Department of Social Work, Cape Breton Universitas, Canada. Associate Professor Heba from Department of Mental Health Nursing, Alexandria University, Egypt. Assistant Professor Jacqueline Joyce Geller Nicholas, Master of Art in Nursing, Registered Nurse from College of Nursing, Our Lady of Fatima University, Philippines. Nurse Muhammad Khairul Amin, Master of Nursing, Specialist Mental Health Nursing from Faculty of Health Science, University Muhammadiyah Magelang. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Vida Aufa Amaralia. A student from Nurse Study Program will be the Master of Ceremony today. I would like to confine the several agenda for this event. First, opening session. Let's say Bismillah together. Thank you. And then we move to reading of Holy Quran recitation by Dedi Kurniawan from Student of Islamic Education.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. A'udzu billahi minasy syaithanir rajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Ar-Rahmanu 'allamal Qur'ana khalaqal insana 'allamahul bayan. Asy-syamsu wal qamaru bihusbanin wan najmu wasyajaru yasjudan. Was-samaa'a rafa'aha wa wada'al mizan. Was-samaa'a rafa'aha wa wada'al mizana alla tatghaw fil mizan. Wa aqimul wazna bil qisti wa la tuhsirul mizan. Wal arda wada'aha lil anami fiha فاكهة والنخل ذات الأكمام والحب ذو العصف والريحان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان صدق الله العظيم. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you. And then we move to Indonesian anthem. And then we move to the followed by the report from the chairman of this webinar. Please welcome Muhammad Habib Dimyati.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Before starting this event, I want to say thank you for the coming to the Honorable Dean Faculty of Health Science, University. The Honorable Dean Faculty of Health Science, University Muhammadiyah Magelang, Dr. Heni Setiawati Esti Rahayu, our beloved Head of Nurse Study Program, Mr. Ners Priyo, and along who have prepared this international seminar very well and extraordinary. First of all, I would like to welcome all participants who are very enthusiastic about taking part in the International Conference on Advancement in Nursing Care about Complementary Therapy in mental health nursing of bullying in teenagers. This activity is carried out by all students and lecturers of the nursing study program in 224. The seminar activity is attended by all students of the nursing study program Faculty of Health Science and attended by as many as 173. They were who had worked in hospital, health centers, and so on. This event is filled with speakers who are experienced in the field of complementary therapy in mental health nursing of bullying in teenagers, who come from various countries with different culture and nursing problems in each country. Second, many thanks to the presenter who took the time and were willing to take part in this seminar on complementary therapy. Not forgetting all the participants who were very enthusiastic about taking part in this event. And the entire committee who prepared this seminar is a very spectacular and extraordinary seminar. Hopefully, this seminar activity can be useful for all of you, and hopefully the knowledge that will be conveyed can increase insight into mental health nursing of bullying in teenagers. And I, the representative of the committee, apologize profusely if in terms of event preparation, all there was poor treatment, attitude, and communication for the entire committee. I apologize profusely. I think that all I can say. Stay enthusiastic about participating in the activity until it is finished. Remembering that the material that will be presented is very important and useful because there is a proverb that says, never stop learning, never stop growing. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
And then we move to the welcome speech from the Dean, Faculty of Health Science, University Muhammadiyah Magelang, Dr. Heni Setiawati Esti Rahayu.
Okay, thank you, Mbak Pida. Okay. Is my voice here? Miss Pida?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everybody. Our honorable invited speakers at today's international seminar, Dr. Muhammad Musa from Department of Social Work, Cape Breton University, Canada, Associate Professor Heba Moh Abdilal Abdu, DNS from Department of Mental Health Nursing, Alexandria University, Egypt, Assistant Professor Jacqui Joyce Geller Nicholas, Master of Art in Nursing, Registered Nurse from Program Health College of Nursing, Our Lady of Fatima University, Philippines, and our honorable...
Please check your connection.
Okay. Our honorable Nurse Muhammad Khairul Amin, Master of Nursing, Specialist and Mental Health Nursing, Vice Dean, Head of Study Program, Secretary of Study Program, Head of Laboratory, Head of Practice, all lecturers at the Faculty of Health Sciences, Universitas Muhammadiyah Magelang, international seminar participants, both from within and outside. Chairman of the committee and team who has coordinated this activity. First of all, let us express our thanks to the presence of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, who has bestowed His grace and guidance so that we can take part in this activity in good health. Salawat and prayers are poured out to the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. On this occasion, First of all, we would like to welcome you to this international seminar, Complementary Therapy in Mental Health Nursing, Bullying and Teenagers, organized by the Faculty of Health Sciences, Universitas Muhammadiyah, Magelang. Secondly, we would like to thank the invited speakers who were willing to provide their material to all of us. The third, seminars took topic related to complementary therapy in psychiatric nursing, especially bullying in teenagers. This topic of complementary therapy was chosen because it is in accordance with the advantage of the nursing undergraduate study program and the nursing professions, namely excellent in complementary therapies. Then the cases taken were related to bullying in teenagers because bullying cases were increasing and had a negative impact of the victims. The impact of bullying can be very damaging, causing victims to experience decreased self-confidence, depression, anxiety, and extreme cases, even the urge to commit suicide. So nurses have an important role to prevent bullying problems. By attending this seminar, it is hoped that participants will have a good understanding of bullying and its prevention so that they are able to practice handling it. Finally, we apologize profusely if there are any shortcomings in the organization of this international seminar, and we wish you good luck in participating in today's international seminar activities. By saying Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, I declare this seminar open and started. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you so much for the speech, Dr. Heni Setiawati Esti Rahayu. Then we move to the main part of this webinar today. I will read the history of moderator. First, name Nurse Sumarno Adi Subrata, Master of Nursing. Birth date Temanggung, 5 March 1984. Work Faculty of Health Science, University Muhammadiyah Magelang. Award 2090 Top Download Article, International Journal of Urological Nursing. 2020 Top Download Article, International Journal of Urology Nursing. 2020 Recognition of Excellence in Writing Publication, Mahidol University, Thailand. Curriculum vitae, name Vinacela Octavia, birth date Bandar Lampung, 16 October. Award the first ASEAN International Student Competition IESG 221 and IPNEMA Award 222. Please welcome Vinacela Octavia and Mr. Aji.
Thank you, Fida, for your kind introduction. Ladies and gentlemen, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, I'm Vinacela, a student from the Ners program. In my lecture, Mr. Ners Sumarno Adi Subrata, Master of Nursing, Dr. Philosophy at Universitas Muhammadiyah, Magelang. And your host for today's session on complementary therapy in mental health nursing. Bullying in Teenagers. As part of the first ETNES International Conference of Edsman in Nursing Care, we are privileged to have four distinguished speakers joining us from Canada, Egypt, Philippines, and Indonesia. They'll, they'll share their expertise on complementary therapies for mental health in teenagers facing bullying. The focus of complementary therapies in today's healthcare landscape in particularly emerging. As we navigate ongoing challenges, these alternative approaches hold promise for mental health nursing, especially in supporting teenagers facing bullying. We've specifically chosen our speakers for their knowledge and experience in this area, ensuring a valuable discussion on complementary therapies for this age group. Ladies and gentlemen, in this session, we will hear the speaker presentation first, then followed by the question and answer session. Before we begin, to ensure a smooth discussion, kindly mute your microphone and use the chat room to ask questions directly to the speaker. We encourage active participation to make this a fruitful session. Let's process with the presentation for Mr. Adi. Let's start.
Okay, thank you so much, Vina, for your kind introduction. I would say thank you so much for Dr. Muhammad Musa for joining us today. Dr. Muhammad Musa, can you hear my voice?
Yep. Assalamualaikum, Adi. Yes, I can hear you fine.
Okay, salam. Okay, very clear. Okay, thank you so much for your coming today, and we would like to say that this is the first webinar in our university, and we invite you to be the first speaker, and we would like to read your curriculum video first. Can you share? Okay. Wait a second. Okay, as you can see in this slide, Dr. Muhammad Musa is a lecturer from the Department of Social Work in Keunggulan University from Canada, and he has a PhD in 2023 in a social work faculty, and also he has a lot of experience in bullying and also another social work in Canada, of course. Okay, Dr. Muhammad Musa, you will have maybe 45 minutes presentation and also discussion. Now your time to present your material. Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you so much, Adi. I appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you for inviting me to the first conference here, the webinar, and inshallah, it will not be the last. Assalamu alaikum,
Okay.
everyone. I am so
Salam.
happy to be here. I am very pleased to see many of you are sort of eager and excited to learn a little bit about bullying from a different perspective, from a country that offers a little bit of different tools, a little bit of different modalities in dealing with bullying. So we will get started with today. I understand I have about 40 minutes. I'll try to make it a little bit shorter so we actually can have some discussions and open it up to questions, because I think that's the most important piece in our work. Is I can talk forever, but the most important piece is your questions, because that's where most of the knowledge will generate from. So today's presentation, I thought to talk about bullying with teenagers, especially in Canada. What do we do here? What are the interventions? What are some solutions? You're going to realize right at the start that I talk really fast. So if things get really, really fast, stop me. I'm okay with this. Say, can you please slow down? Or repeat what you've said. I have no problem with that. I talk so fast even for native English speakers here in Canada, and I'm not a native English speaker myself. So I have to slow myself down sometimes, and I tell my students just to tell me when I'm going so fast. So please come on if you think I'm going so fast, or if you're not understanding some of the things that I'm saying. How are we doing so far? Can everyone hear me clear? We're good on the starting points?
Yes, very clear. We can see your presentation as well.
Good. All right. So just a little bit about myself. I think it's so important that before we get to know the content that is being presented, I would like to tell you a little bit about myself. Like Dr. Adi said here, my name is Muhammad Musa. I am an assistant professor here at Cape Breton University. I'm not from Canada. I'm not Canadian. As you can tell, my name is Mohammed. So I originally come from the Middle East, from Iraq. Specifically, I was born in Iraq, and I was there for about until I was grade 7. After that, my family and I left Iraq because of the war, and we moved to Ukraine, where we lived there in Europe for about 5 years. And then in 2010, my family and I moved here to Canada. So when I first arrived to Canada, I was about grade 12. So I had to learn the language. I had to learn some of the cultural aspects of that before heading to university. I completed my entire schooling at the University of Windsor here in Canada, in the province of Ontario. So I earned my Bachelor of Social Work, my Master of Social Work, and then a PhD, all at Windsor, back to back to back. No breaks. So that was a little bit of fun, not a lot. And then during that time, as I was getting to my studies, I worked as a social worker. So when I earned my first degree, actually midway through my education, that's second year of bachelor's, I started working as a social worker. My work started with community legal aid clinics. So what that means is that in Canada, some people, just like many other countries, some people make high income, some people make low income. So those who are on low income, if they wanted to access services legally, lawyers, social workers, they would come to these clinics and get those services. So I was there for about 2 years. And then after that, I started working with youth who were in detention or custody. So youth who were in problems or in trouble with the law, they were sentenced by a judge to go to custody facilities, and I stayed there for about 3 years. So this is custody facilities is just jail for youth and children aged 12, or I should say adolescents and youth, so age 12 all the way to 18 years of age. Shortly after that, I moved to Toronto. I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with the city in Ontario, where I worked as a clinical therapist, working with children and youth who also were in trouble with the law, but they were engaged in inappropriate sexual behavior. So they went to court sentenced them as well, and then they received mandated therapy. I stayed there for about a year. After this, I moved to the capital of Canada, Ottawa, and I worked as a supervisor. So I was now a social worker supervising a group of people. I stayed there for about a year, and then finally moved back to my hometown, Windsor, where I worked as a clinical therapist for the University of Windsor, helping law students. So students who wanted to become lawyers, they had to go through certain schooling. I was their specific therapist for that. So that's a little bit about me and my clinical practice experience. My research experience is focused on mental health perceptions among Middle Eastern migrants. So I'm really interested of the understanding of mental health among people from Iraq, Saudi Arabia, Lebanon, Syria, anyone in the Middle East. And this is a lot of the research, and that's what I do in terms of my research here. So why is it important? Why did I talk just for the last few minutes about myself? This is important so you can understand where I come from, because I believe that my knowledge is very different than Adi, for example. He sees things from a perspective where he was culturally raised or born in Indonesia. He does understand how therapeutics works there, the population. However, for me, I have no idea about the population. I know a little bit about it, but not a lot. So each of us perceive things from a different perspective, and it's very important for us to understand as I present some of this knowledge to you, because it's going to sound a little bit different. So as we get started, you're going to see a lot of the context that I bring here comes from official avenues. It's based in research, of course, but mostly it's coming from the government of Canada, simply because the government of Canada has a lot of research initiatives, and they distribute those resources and materials across different agencies in which they're sort of mandated to work through for a few reasons. One, it's cost effective. It's not free, but it's close to as cheap as it can be. And the second reason is that because a lot of the workers, a lot of the knowledge that is passed on through nonprofits also come from the government of Canada as well. So everything that you're going to see today is going to be based on the context from the Canadian government rather than singular or individual initiatives. So let's get started with bullying. How are we doing? Any questions so far? Okay, if
No,
you have any
it's
questions, yeah,
I think
no
no
worries.
question for this moment. Yes, okay, you can continue presentation.
Thank you, Adi. And if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. So I'm so used to my questions coming my way. If I see the chat pop up or there's a question, I'll happily go to that. So in order for us to get started with bullying, we need to understand what is bullying. How is bullying defined here in Canada? So in Canada, bullying is defined as something that is willful, repeated, and aggressive behavior. This behavior is constantly accompanied by the negative intent that is used by a child to maintain power over another child. As a result, this victimized child get caught in very abusive relationships. So just off the start, when we talk about bullying, a lot of people think, well, there's the words willful, repeated, aggressive. A lot of people immediately jump to think that bullying is only happening amongst peers. It's only happening in person. And that is not quite true. We also have the extended term of bullying that is cyberbullying. What cyberbullying talks about is the use of computers, any online modalities, smartphones, or other forms of devices to embarrass, hurt, mock, threaten, or be mean to someone. Often children go to these methods because they have a lack of absence of socialization. They have an absence of supervision as well that forces them to go that way. Cyberbullying actually is a very serious problem in Canada. It affects far more people than bullying itself. So the small branch of cyberbullying, the use and misuse, we should say, of electronics and online devices is a huge problem here in Canada. We estimate to have about 3 out of each Canadian youth say they have been cyberbullied at one point. So that's, each 3 of 10 at one point, they were forced to face bullying. They were forced to interact with someone who is their bullier. We also know that cyberbullying hurts. It can have very negative impact on self-esteem, on relationships, and the lives of those who are involved in it. So when we talk about bullying, it takes place across different Canadian cities in many forms. Generally speaking, bullying has 4 components to it in which it takes place. The first one is unequal power. So when we talk about unequal power, in that, let's call it relationship of bullying, there's usually one child that has the upper hand, and then the other child is facing sort of the consequences of bullying. So usually there is an unequal power where one child controls the driving force of bullying, whether it's physical, whether it's verbal, whether it's mental or cyber bullying, and the other person is the receiving person of the bullying. It also consists of harmful action. These harmful or hurtful action often are physical, most times are psychological, and often they call people different names, they insult them, they threat them, they kick them, they hit them, and punch them. Probably realize when I talk about bullying already, I'm often referring to the psychological pieces, the social pieces first, the cyberbullying first, rather than the physical, because that is so much more common here in Canada rather than the physical piece. Canada is really well known for its strong laws on anything that has to do with physical assaults, with people shoving, pushing, punching each other. They get heavily penalized for it. And with the advancement of technology, a lot of people refrain from the physical components and move on to those psychological and social pieces where they hurt someone verbally or through different means of communication. The other form of bullying is the direct or indirect actions. And here, where we have the bullier, the person who bullies other people, uses their behavior, and this could be face to face or behind the child back, by teasing them, excluded them, talking bad about them, spreading rumors about their identity and who they are as well, leading the other children to feel bullied, excluded, not participating, whether it's in their school, whether it's in their environment, depending on where they're at. And finally, the repetitiveness of the behavior. The hurtful action sort of keep happening, and as they happen more and more, children who are being affected by those find themselves increasingly difficult to escape, and they find themselves lacking solutions. Well, where do I go from here? I feel threatened, I feel not cared for, and I'm feeling very isolated. So why do we say, why do we say the prevalence of bullying is important? Well, it's important because now we're talking about children. We're going to shift gears in a minute, but the cycle of bullying, it often begins between the ages of 4 to 11. This is why our focus is very often on children rather than youth alone. These youth who are 11 and up don't learn bullying out of nowhere. There has to be something in the foundation years that led up to this. We see children forming their own social identities at school and through different activities at that age, 4 to 11, right? So no matter where it starts, bullying is not normal part of growing up. We're expecting children and those who are going through this phase of growing up to learn about their identity, to experience different things, to be aggressive, yes, but not towards each other. So the piece where these children are fighting each other, bullying each other, that's a normal part, not a normal part of growing up. So in order for us to fix this and recognize it, it needs to be directly dealt with by adults at that age specifically. So there, we're not teaching children much, we're teaching ourselves. We need the adults, the people in authority to step up and do something about the bullying. So here's how bullying takes, and we talked about some of these, but here's some types of bullying specifically. We talked about the forms and how it takes. Now we move to types. Types, you can think of it as actions. It's directly related to bullying. There's physical, there's psychological, that is verbal, and psychological, that is social. With the physical, we're talking about the most obvious things that people know. Picking fights with children amongst each other. They're kicking, they're pushing, they're shoving each other. These cover the physical components. The psychological components, they talk about things such as insults, name calling, threats. These are very basic ways in which the psychological and verbal components are part of this. And then there's the psychological social, which consists of gossiping, rumors, ignoring, excluding, ensuring that people are not respected as well. These are all covering the psychological pieces. With the psychological verbal, it's also important to understand that sometimes people spread indirect messages or make people feel excluded by sharing secrets, by making up facts that are not true, or making up by making up lies about them. So it's important that we distinguish between the psychological verbal and the psychological social, because one is, you can think of it as direct to the person that is being bullied. The other one is indirect. So people would do it behind their backs to make sure that they are not included, and they're often excluded in these activities. Any questions so far before we move to teenagers? Okay, the chat looks clear. I see typing in Indonesian, so I'm assuming this is not for me. If it's in English, then it's for me. So let's talk a little bit about, let's shift gears and talk about prevalence of bullying among teenagers and why this is important. Well, we know that children, we have said already, ages 4 to 11, that's when a lot of the development is happening, and a lot of the things that would happen to children, it would stick with them. So if a child is being used to being bullied in school, they consistently are taken advantage of, then when they get to that age, things will not change for them, chances are, if we as adults have not intervened. So as they get older, the range of bullying and the behavior in which they engage in bullying increases. So now it's no longer children stuff. Now it's adults, or sorry, I should say young adults, we can call them, adolescents, teenagers, moving into adulthood. So the frequency, the type of behaviors are going to escalate. They're going to go up. So these different types of bullying starts to emerge, and these include violent things. So now it's no longer the spreading rumors and psychologically excluding people and talking about them. Now the physical component has increased. This starts including things such as sexual harassment, dating aggression in Canadian societies. Other forms of bullying start to emerge, such as fights, right? These are very, very common in children who are that age. So we see higher percentage of students engaging in bullying behavior in middle school and high school as well, rather than elementary school. So the frequency of bullying starts to emerge in these levels, middle and high school. However, we have to still understand that they have started in elementary school. So that's grade school, but we don't hear about them as often. So here are how things change when we're talking about youth. Now, with youth, a big cultural problem here in Canada is relationships. So there starts to be physical and verbal actions amongst children. So children start to grab, push, punch, spread rumors about each other. They call them names, and this is not only excluded to relationships that we recognize are inappropriate, but it also has to do directly with relationships amongst the household. So between brothers and sisters, where there's a lot of the verbal and the physical actions, punching, pushing that are common amongst friends as well. So it is sadly considered to be something that is more common than it should. Sexual harassment starts to occur as well. And a lot of this has to do with the upbringing, the upraising of the values that are presented within the society. The lack of security that people feel is also contributing to that as well. And finally, the ethnoculturally based bullying. A lot of the problems that happen at an elementary level of schooling has to do with things such as racism, segregation, the unacceptance of certain groups by others, right? We know, for example, the United States, Canada, struggled for a very, very long time with racism towards Black people. They struggled for a very, very long time with racism towards Indigenous people, the Originals people. A lot of people in the States, in the United States, they call them the Indians, the Red Indians. Here in Canada, we call them the Indigenous people, and these are the people that lived here for the longest time before Europeans and other people sort of came and discovered that. So a lot of these children start to have problems in emerging and being part of games, being part of school activities, being part of friendships forming. And this is why it's really, really difficult for us to work with this, because a lot of this work is not done at an elementary level. They come to middle school and high school facing these problems, and there are not enough resources. Therefore, it's difficult for us to deal with it. So how does this impact society? Now we talk about it in, we say, I mentioned it happens in grade school, and then it occurs in middle school, and finally it explodes in high school at a high frequency, high level. And then we don't talk about it. People turn 18 and they leave the high school system, and we expect that bullying is sort of completed. And that's not true. This contributes significantly to mental health issues such as anxiety, depression, suicidal ideations among victims. As the dean said at the beginning of her speech, there are a lot of ways in which this is continuously contributing to the mental health and the status of those who are Canadians and live in Canada as adults. Those victims, they face difficulties in forming and maintaining social relationships in future. So this is why we see a lot of adults, a lot of people who have struggled for the long time in establishing relationships. So they start considering, well, what has happened? They start talking to therapists, and then they start flagging out that, well, this adult who at one point was a child has been through a lot of bullying, and this is why they struggled. We also know that the long-term effects of bullying, they go far into adulthood, not just only young adults. We're talking 18 to 22. It goes far beyond that. It affects your career aspects. It affects your marriage life. It affects even forming friendships and professional working relationships at an older age. On schools, well, we know that in schools, it does impact your academic performance. This is sort of proven not only at an elementary and high school level, but it affects students who are attending university, because we know forming relationships, as many of you have been through this process, it only gets more difficult at a university level. It creates hostile school climate. So a lot of the environments would also look at excluding people, not including people. It would make students feel insecure secure. It also strains teacher and student relationship, not only again in high schools, but even at a university level, because for a lot of the teachers and professors here, your expectations are sure the well-being of a student, teaching them properly, equipping them, but then sometimes you can't deal with bullying because you're expecting that some of these things must have been dealt with at an earlier age so students know what's appropriate and inappropriate. And obviously, it leads to higher rates of school dropouts because some people cannot cope with bullying. They're forced to take different measures and actions. So what are the efforts of policymakers? We know in Canada that leaders have been trying their best to look at different alternatives to help younger people. And how can we help younger people? Well, they're including different set of policies. We're going to talk about a couple of policies here in Canada and how people help those younger generations, try to help these younger generations by setting those policies and what could be done for those people. Now, it's important to understand this takes a lot of time. Canada is a country that is known for its redundancy and for them taking exceptionally long time to state policies and laws. Things take years and years. Sometimes a government serves 4 years here before an elections. Sometimes government takes 4 years to pass one massive piece of legislation of law. So this is important to understand. So here's a couple of things that I'm going to briefly touch on. When we talk about when we talk about bullying intervention programs, we have school-based anti-bullying programs, we have the whole school approach, and we have the comprehensive community approach. The school-based anti-bullying programs, it's very common amongst Canadian students as they suffer at very high rates of bullying and high frequencies. So the National Crime Prevention Center is the one that is committed to providing those information to school-based anti-bullying programs to prevent them from bullying and making sure that they are able to continue their work to prevent people from facing bullying. The whole school approach is one of the most successful intervention programs. It decreases bullying in schools from 20 to 70%. The intervention here works best when there is an organized school approach. There's a way that we can prevent bullying by talking about anti-bullying policies, anti-bullying initiatives, and looking into ways in which schools can adopt to those strategies and punish the bulliers. So here's what the anti-bullying policy looks at. It needs to be a needs assessment. A proper needs assessment would make sure that everyone is happy and everyone is flagging where their shortcomings are coming from. It involves multiple stakeholders, different people in the community, different people in the school, the bullier, the person who's being bullied, the parents of both. It's formally introduced, so it's not just a teacher initiative, it's a common initiative amongst many. And it has to include evaluations. We want to make sure and we want to understand, well, did my approach work or is it not good and I need to improve it and change it? Here's some anti-bullying initiative approaches as well. We want to make sure it's well planned. Planning is critical part of the bullying stopping techniques. We want to make sure it's also including against stakeholders. We want to make sure that there is a gender-specific approach. We know bullying is different for females rather than males. So we need to address that appropriately. We want to look at behaviors and we want to look at what is the long-term intervention. We have gotten to this point now. How can we get to the long-term intervention? What can we do to help people long-term overcome bullying? Finally, I just want to take a minute to talk about the comprehensive community approach. This approach involves the community altogether because we want to make sure that not only one piece, that is the school, is responsible, we want to make sure that everyone has a grip, has hands on things. That includes the community, it includes the school, it includes the family. This is one of the most successful bullying intervention programs in Canada. It has to have the whole school population involved. It has to have the students involved, whether they're at the beginning of the bullying or have been bullied or they're the bulliers themselves. And it needs to have students with serious bullying or victimization behaviors also taking part of this approach. When these three components come together, if you can think about it like a triangle, they complete this cycle. and they start addressing the attitudes, the behaviors, and any interpersonal and or emotional skills that are involved in the parents' behavior at home that could correct this, teachers' behavior, youth behavior. They're all complete one cycle. So as a result of this, the community would also take responsibility for this, right? We can't just blame teachers and students to say, this is your fault, you need to deal with it in school. We recognize that children only spend a specific period of their time of their day in school, and the rest is spent at home or in the community. So it's just a part of holding everyone in the community accountable for this. Some quick facts before I wrap up with the two couple slides that are important. We know that children, when it comes to bullying, we have about half of those children can stop the bullying if we intervene as adults, not children, within 10 seconds. And then if we intervene with children as well, if we teach children some things and they intervene and help the person who's being bullied, this also can be stopped within 10 seconds. The bullying completely gone, not ever sort of heard of again. Intervention is a very critical part of stopping bullying. In the last statistics that we have, Canada was ranked in the middle of 35 countries that are studied for the level of bullying. So out of 35 countries worldwide that were part of the study, Canada falls in the middle, which is not a very good statistics. It's very bad. It shows some things that people don't talk a lot about here. So we're going to wrap up with this, and I understand there's a question. This is the first thing that I'll do. I'll get to the question after I wrap up with these couple of slides. It's important to know that bullying is also not foreign to our religion, Islam, right? In the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا لَا يَسْخَرْ قَوْمٌ مِّن قَوْمٍ عَسَىٰ أَن يَكُونُوا خَيْرًا مِّنْهُمْ ولا نساء من نساء عسى أن يكن خيرا منهن ولا تلمزوا أنفسكم ولا تنابزوا بالألقاب بئس الاسم الفسوق بعد الإيمان ومن لم يتب فأولئك هم الظالمون. This directly hits towards bullying. We're talking about bullying all over this ayah, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us that bullying is a thing. Bullying happens amongst a lot of people, men, women. It doesn't say children, but we know children are part of men and women, and that's what happens as well. So there are clear messages here to us that bullying has no place in Islam. Bullying has no place in religion. Our Prophet Muhammad also says, عن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه, our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, لا تحاسدوا لا تناجشوا لا تباغضوا ولا تدابروا ولا يبع بعضكم على بيع بعض وكونوا عباد الله إخوانا المسلم أخو المسلم لا يظلمه لا يخذله ولا يكذبه ولا يحقره التقوى ها هنا. And then he points at his chest 3 times. He points at his chest ويشير إلى صدره 3 مرات بحسب امرئ من الشر أن يحقر أخاه المسلم كل المسلم على المسلم حرام دمه وماله وعرضه. A lot of us, and I'll leave the English piece for you here to read, but I'll mention one thing that a lot of you are so familiar with. A lot of us, including myself for the longest time, I wasn't familiar with the full hadith. What we know is the last piece that Prophet Muhammad said, the whole Muslim is unavoidable for another Muslim, his blood, his property, and his honor, right? We know this last line, but we don't know the full hadith, subhanAllah, sometimes. And I hope many of you already knew this. And this hadith was told by Muslims, so it's in Sahih Muslim. So it's significant. That shows that our sunnah from from our Prophet, peace be upon him, have already said this to us, that we should not be talking ill. We should not be mentioning bad things about our brothers and sisters in front of them or behind their back. The relevance of this, and the reason why I really wanted to bring this up, and this is the concluding piece that we can open it up for discussion, is that in Canada here, Canada is not a Muslim country. So a lot of the therapeutic approaches that we use are not necessarily designed for Muslim populations. I've worked with many Muslim youth in the past and children. So I had to wait for the family to suggest what they wanted to do, how they wanted to work. There are really not few, but many, I should say, Muslim therapists. However, the Muslim population here is not a lot. So it restricts a lot of people from directly working with Muslim children or Muslim youth who face bullying. It happens every here and then, but a lot of the therapeutic approaches, including myself as a social worker, I design my therapeutics to be for the mainstream population. But I get very excited. Sadly, I shouldn't get too excited when I have youth who are bullied and come to me, but I get excited because I get to help them. I get to talk to the Muslim parents, I get to talk to the youth, and we get to work together towards tweaking some of these Western approaches to therapy to make it fit with our religion and with what we want best for youth. So I'll stop here. And Adi, I think I have about 7 minutes left, is it?
Yes,
Or
correct.
less?
You
Or
still have maybe about 10 minutes, so we will
okay,
have
perfect.
some kind of discussion. Okay, thank you so much.
Perfect. So I'll open it up for discussion. I'll first get to answer, is it Sarajo question?
Okay, can I read the question for you? I
Sure,
will
yeah,
read the
please.
question for you. Okay, the first question came from Ita Fauzia. She is a nursing in a Sajida hospital. The first
Mhm.
question is, what is the early sign of bullying among teenagers? The early sign, I
Um,
mean.
Yeah,
Yes, correct.
in my work, so I'll answer most of the questions. If there is a research component that I remember, I'll answer it from a research component. But most of these questions, I'll answer it from a practice component as a
Okay.
clinical
Yeah.
therapist working. I think that the early sign of bullying among teenagers and what I see, if we're talking about the children or the child who's been bullied, is isolation. A lot of times, children will just shut down and then just move away. For children who are the bulliers, if a child is the one who bullies other children, I would also say a lot of times we see difficulty in forming relationship. This child, although a lot of characteristics, looks tough, but no one wants to be friends with them. That's what I see in terms of the signs.
Okay, thank you so much. So we move to the second question, Dr. Muhammad. Uh, is keeping busy with children to the positive attitude can reduce the bullying?
Yes, so it does help, but what we need to teach them first before sort of positive attitudes and activities, we want to make sure that we're providing them with ways in which they can trust us to come and say what's going on. What I saw from working with a lot of children, Canadian children who are non-Muslim, Muslim children as well here in Canada, is that they are afraid to approach mom. They're afraid to approach dad and say, this has happened to me in school. Can we talk about it? They are afraid because they don't know how mom and dad would react. A lot of the times, when we teach our children, we teach them what's, for example, in Islam, we say what's haram, what's forbidden, and what's right. Do these things. We don't teach our children that bullying is haram, right? We don't expect that. We focus on the very big main things in religion. Don't steal, don't talk very ill, no very bad words. We teach them that strangers other than mom and dad are not allowed to touch you, no one allowed to do this to you. But then we don't tell them about the little things, because over time we don't think about these little things, but over time these little things build up, build up, build up, and they become a lot. So it is helpful that we engage them in positive attitudes and exercises, but we need to build an environment for them so they can come to us anytime they feel threatened, or there's a little bit of bullying that happens, because we want to get this right when it happens.
Okay, very perfect question, perfect answer from you, Dr. Muhammad. So we have another question from Wisatrianingsih. As a parent, what we can do for us at home when the children, tell their feeling about their bullying in school?
Yeah, there's a lot of things that you can do at home. A lot of people, when therapies happen, I'm gonna give you an example again here in Canada, because I live here and I see all these problems here. A lot of people here, depending on their work environment, but any place, parents work, most places, they have health coverage, especially so private health coverage, especially for social workers. So instead of paying money to go and see me, usually it's covered through their employment, and then the health insurance would pay this person. So let's say they have about $500 a year, which makes almost 5 sessions. So once they suspect something, they go immediately to the social worker. And that is wrong. I don't like this. I usually ask the parents, what did you do before you came in here? Because if you
Yes,
just
correct.
toss the child immediately at the parent, then you have not done anything sufficient. I'm sure in nursing, when everyone sort of looks at wound care, for example, or if you look at health amongst people, you don't just go to the hospital if you get like small cut. Well, just clean it up, put a band-aid on it, check it the next day. It looks good, we're good to go. If it looks bad and it's infected, you go to the hospital. So you do little steps, right? So I always tell parents, the first thing you need to do at home is talk to your kid. Get to know your kid, get to know what is going on. The second piece is call school. Call school, call friends, call the parents of the friends to find out what happened, because chances are sometimes people know, but they just don't talk, right? And then after all this is done and nothing gets resolved, nothing is moving, I say now involve people like myself, professionals. Take the child to a doctor, take the child to a social worker, nurse practitioner, or a nurse if available. Because sometimes, again, going back to the young age, if we don't talk to the children at a very young age to say, mom is safe to talk to, dad is safe to talk to us, then they're not going to open up because they're afraid. But then when they go talk to a stranger or a teacher or a nurse, they see this person as a safe person. So they feel more confident to open up to them and talk to them. So these are the three
Okay,
steps I always advise people to take.
okay, thank you so much. Because some children not trust their parents, so they should
Yeah,
talk to another person for tell their feeling and how to deal with the bullying in school or something like that.
absolutely.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so we have another question for Audine. She asked, but how to support victim of bullying in Canada? I mean, what did your support? I mean, some kind of intervention or programs that you provide in Canada to, I mean, reduce the case of bullying.
Yeah. So Canada is what this is one of the things. So we talked about the laws in Canada. Canada, although it's known to be, like I said, very slow at making
Tapi kan
things
tanya
happen in
dua ya,
terms of the laws.
tanya dua.
However,
Yang tanya
they
satu,
are
berapa tanya?
really, really well known for their support for victims, all kinds of victims, anything. For the sake of today, we're going to talk about bullying, but there are so many programs for bullying, starting from simply if people, and again, depending on the matter, how small the problem is and how big is the problem. Starting from schools, schools offer many programs. They offer their social workers in school that are most often based, that they can come and talk to the youth, talk to their family. If school feels that they're unable to resolve the matters, or if the bullying, like we said, involves to taking pictures, spreading rumors, things that are bigger, or even physical assaults, then police gets involved. Police provide a lot of supports to families, including therapy, including ways to navigate the legal system. So there's a lot for youth who get bullied or facing bullying, but this also extends to their family. So resources to parents, resources to other children, a lot of education as well. There's a lot of support for these people who face bullying in Canada.
Okay, thank you so much. So I admit that we need a lot of support to take the patient with bullying, something like that.
Yeah.
Okay, we still have two questions more, Dr. Mohammed.
No worries, take your time.
Okay,
As long
okay,
as we're not over time.
okay. The first question is there any laws regarding the regulation of cyberbullying in social media? I mean, is there any some kind of punishment when a person share a fake news in some social media
Yeah.
in your country, in your
So
Canada?
yeah, this is another piece where Canadian government has sort of stepped in and pushed the laws really to the limits. There's big issues, and again, it's because of the structure of the country and the cultural piece and the religious piece as well. A lot of the issues they face here is the sharing of unconsensual pictures. So people sharing pictures of each other with knowledge or without knowledge, as well as spreading rumors and fake news about them. The police have been really cracking on this. So the police have been very strong force. Sometimes things don't need to go to court. Police now have tools to track people, delete pictures, and arrest people and charge them with criminal offenses for engaging in that. So really heavy penalties and really heavy consequences. It really destroys the career or the potential of those people that do such things.
Okay, thank you. So the last question, I think, because your time is still 4 minutes again. But the last question, is there any specific treatment for kids who are bullied in Canada? I mean, specific treatment for kids that we
Yeah.
can we can use in Indonesia in your
Yeah.
experience?
So treatment is left to the individual choice of the therapist. It's we don't have a specific modality that we say this works best for children who are bullied. A child comes to me, I talk to child, I talk to mom and dad, I do an assessment with the child, and then from there I decide what's best. Most cases, I would say 80% of the times, I would use a tool. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but it's called motivational interviewing. So, motivational interviewing is a tool that I use with a lot of children that pretty much promotes healthy behavior amongst children. I know I have a minute here, but let me see where I may have had a picture of this. Yeah, I'll explain this to you really in a quick minute. But when we talk about motivational
Okay.
interviewing, it really helps children in navigate unhealthy behavior and build a habit towards enhancing the positive behavior. So in that case, a child comes to me, they're not motivated to talk about what happened. I respond to them, they answer me, and then from there we go just to say, well, let's talk about what's bothering you. We talk about what's bothering them. They come into the next session. They're feeling pushed back. They don't want to talk about things. I work with them on things. They come forward again. And then we keep working, spinning the cycle until I build that relationship. They open up and they're expected to, after maybe 3-4 weeks of talking, they feel they're pushed back again or something new happened. They go even further. And then I try to pull them in, talk to them again, and move forward. So motivational interviewing is something that I use a lot in my therapies, talking with kids who are bullied.
Okay, thank you so much. So it can conclude that motivational interviewing is a very effective treatment in to take care of the patient with bullying in Canada, especially in children, something like that.
Yep,
Yeah.
and it's something that is anyone can use. A lot of people can use. You don't have to have specific training on it.
Okay.
Nurses, of course, nurses can look into this modality. It's very easy to use. It's not like cognitive behavior therapy or something that is complicated. You can get to learn about it individually and utilize it. It's very safe method.
Okay, so the parents can do the motivating interviewing for to the children.
Yep.
To the
We
parents can
teach the
use. Okay.
parents. Yeah, of course.
Okay.
We teach the parents the little steps, and then they can utilize it themselves.
Okay. Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Muhammad. So we now at the end of your presentations, and thank you so much for your coming. And we have some certificate for you. Can you show the certificates? Okay, let's see. Wait a second before you leave
No worries.
this. Oh, okay. Mana? Oke, enggak? Oh iya, nanti ya. Okay. Okay, this is certificate for you, and we will say to thank you so much for your participation as a keynote speaker for this webinar.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I appreciate
Okay,
it.
okay, you're
It
welcome.
was a
Okay,
pleasure working with you, Addy, and everyone else.
okay,
Best of luck to all of you. Inshallah, bright future for all of you.
okay. Thank you so much. So if you like to stay with us until the end of this event, it's okay. But if you can leave, it's okay for you.
Thank you. Yeah, it's
Okay, thank you
I'll
so
stay
much.
maybe
Okay,
for a little bit and I'll leave. It's almost 12 o'clock in Canada at night, so time for sleep for
okay,
me.
okay. Thank you. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so
All
much.
right.
You can.
Salam alaikum.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Okay, we move to the second speaker from Egypt. Dr. Hiba, can you still hear my voice?
Yes, I
Okay,
hear the voice.
okay, wait.
I can share my slides.
Okay, very good. Okay, thank you so much. Okay. Okay, before you present your topic, let me read your curriculum vitae first, Dr. Hiba. Okay, can you stop the screen, please? And then I will share your curriculum vitae for you.
Okay.
Okay, can you close the slide first? Okay.
Mm, Sorry, I
Okay.
can't stop.
Okay. Okay. Okay, the second speaker is Dr. Associate Professor Hiba Muhammad Abdil Al Abdu, Bachelor of Nursing, Master of Nursing, Doctor of Nursing, and he has expertise in physical mental health nursing, and also he worked as a nursing lecturer in Alexandrian University in Egypt. So in the next 40 minutes, she will present about bullying in Egypt. And Dr. Hiba, you still have maybe 30 minutes to present your material.
Okay. I can share.
Okay, you can share again.
Okay. Good morning. Today we will discuss critical issues that affect teenagers globally, which is bullying among teenagers. We will explore its prevalence, causes, impacts, and efforts efforts that need to combat it, particularly in Egypt. Let's begin to take an overview about the prevalence of bullying in teenagers. First, I will discuss worldwide prevalence. 1 in 3 teenagers experience bullying, according to UNESCO. And according to WHO, estimates the prevalence to be between 8 to 30%, and some studies reporting up to 50%. Regarding cyberbullying, 1 in 6 teenagers report experience cyberbullying. In relation to regional variation, Europe and North America have declining bullying, while Middle East and North Africa have highest rates. Coming to the prevalence in Egypt, I will discuss the general statistic and specific demographic. In Egypt, about 70% of Egyptian population experience bullying among school mates, according to the UNICEF study. The most common type of bullying is a verbal bullying. About 72.9% of bullied students report verbal assault, followed by physical, social, psychological, and cyberbullying. Cyberbullying increased with social media use. In relation to specific demographics, about 51% of boys and 20% of girls in preparatory and secondary school initiate a violent attack. In the rural area, about 77.8% experience bullying, with 57.8% being bully victims. In relation to causes of bullying, there are many factors, including individual factors, societal, familial factors, and parenting style. In relation to individual factors, bully often experience a high rate of aggression, low self-esteem, depression, and some sort of anxiety. May also have lower level of empathy toward others. And bullies trying to assert dominance to cope with their insecurities. In relation to familial factors, the family may have family conflict, poor parenting strategies, and poor parent-children relationship, and may have maternal depression. In relation to family environment, may have less cohesion, expressiveness, and less organization and control. Coming to parenting style may be aggressive, permissive, or overly controlled. Increase the risk factor among single-parent household and low income, and parent with substance abuse, and experience domestic violence. In relation to societal factors, there is societal attitude that to normalize aggression, which increase the probability of bullying. In Egypt, gender norms and male-dominant hierarchy may contribute the higher rate of bullying among boys. The need for social acceptance and peer approval may be increased with the society that normalize a violence attack or bullying. Coming to the impacts on individual academic performance, society, and school. In relation to the individual impact, victims maybe have the higher level of developing some sort of mental health issues, as feeling of loneliness, helplessness, low self-esteem, and another disorders as depression and anxiety, or the extreme, which is suicidal ideation. Coming to academic performance. Academic performance, of course, affected negatively with bullying behaviors, as victims have difficulties to concentrate and lower in attention and lower grades, and increased likelihood of dropping out from their school. In relation to societal impact, a high level of bullying within the society affect negatively on the feeling of cohesion and harmony within the community, and increase likelihood of feeling of fear and mistrust among others, and the community affect negatively in relation to the economy, as the community increase the health care costs due to the treatment of mental health issues and other related problems. Coming to the school impact, school, of course, affected negatively with bullying behavior, as they may struggle to maintain positive learning environment, effect on victim, increased feeling of fear, insecurity, and may tarnish the school reputation and making it difficult to attract the staff and students. Coming to the efforts of health policymaker in Egypt, which focus on legal measures, awareness campaign, and some interventions in school. Legal measures in Egypt, there is anti-bullying law, which developed in 2020, criminalized bullying with penalty of up to 6 months imprisonment and or fines of 10,000 up to 30,000 Egyptian pound. Also awareness campaign as hashtag against bullying campaign, which developed by the government and UNICEF, and incorporated with another private institution, media, social media, and the media figures, which focus on raise awareness and encourage public to apologize from victims, and teachers also involved in the with such campaign, as focus on make such material a guidance material and confront against bullying behaviors. In relation to school-based environment, health policymaker and health professionals incorporate to each other with community leaders, educators, with within the with schools to develop and create workshops for parents and teachers and students also to develop awareness about bullying behavior and some sort of skills to develop empathy toward others and help them to develop conflict resolution strategies, social skills, and constructive coping strategies. Also, this campaign encourage students to report the bullying behavior through using anonymous system, suggestion boxes, and designated staff or hotlines. Coming to the study in Egypt discussing the intervention of bullying, there are school-based programs, which is the main focus of such studies, peer mediation and teacher and parent involvement. In relation to school-based program, as discussed before, which focused on development of awareness about such behavior and develop such effective communication and problem-solving skill to fight against such behavior. Also peer mediation with a novel intervention, which helps the peer to be effective in addressing some conflict with students, and help to resolve the conflict between students and provide support for victims. In relation to teacher and parent involvement, workshops made for teacher and parents to increase awareness and help to provide positive and healthy relationship with another schoolmates and provide supportive home and school environment. And involve parents to in school activities with their parents, with their children, and provide support to communicate effectively with children and support them in dealing with bullying incidents. Coming to modalities and focus on Islamic therapy, particularly in Egypt. First, I will discuss some principles of Islam, which help us to use it in such Islamic therapy. The main focus on compassion and empathy, community support, and moral development. Compassion and empathy emphasize compassion and empathy and helping others, which incorporate of such a principle in the therapy session to encourage police to understand the impact of their action and to put themselves in another person's shoes and to feel how another person may feel after the bullying behavior. Also, there is the community support, which comes from the concept of Ummah, which means community in Islam, which focus on the importance of mutual support. Also, moral development. Focus on Islamic therapy focus on moral and ethical development based on Quranic teachings and the hadith, as kindness, compassion, and respect for other, and accept another person at face value without any label, and respect dignity, forgiveness, and conflict resolution, and community responsibility for their action. Applying this principle, mental health professionals can apply this principle into therapeutic intervention for bullying through promoting empathy and compassion, which there are counseling sessions focused on developing empathy, compassion, and respect for others. These sessions begin with awareness. There is teaching sessions focus on awareness of how to identify bullying behavior and its impact on another person, and how to develop some sort of skills later on in the later sessions, as developing empathy and compassion skills. Conflict resolution strategies, which guide the victims, the perpetrator, and families to find a peaceful, forgiving solution to bully incidents. Also, there is community engagement, which mental health professional incorporate with school, mosques, and other community institutions to reject bullying behavior and support victims. Spiritual coping mechanism with there is the spiritual practice of Islam to help them to find solace and resilience as dhikr, which mean remembrance of God, dua, which means supplication and recitation of the Quran. Coming to the role of mental health professionals, the mental health professional has crucial role in addressing the bullying behavior and combat such behavior through developing support and intervention services to victims, police, and the community as a whole. Counseling and support for victims, which mental health professional provide coping with trauma, help the victims to cope with psychological trauma and build their self-esteem, and provide also supportive group therapy, which help the students to the victim to express their negative feelings and negative experience and provide support for them. Intervention program for victims and bullies, which is a main focus on CBT, social training, social skills training, and anger management. CBT, which focus on victims and bullies, help them to identify the negative or maladaptive thoughts and behavior and learn the more constructive and healthy one. Also social skills training, which teach individual to communicate effectively with another person and create a healthy atmosphere in the relationship with others and help them to resolve conflict effectively. Anger management strategy, which there is sessions help them to identify and identify their behaviors and trying to learn to express their feelings in a healthy way without harm another person or belittling them or make a label for them. Regarding collaboration with schools, community mental health professionals may collaborate with school in training and consultation, as discussed before, to make workshops for student, teacher, and parents, and developing anti-bullying policies to combat of such behaviors. In relation to crisis intervention, there is immediate support for a victim and swift response, which helps the victims and their families to link with the school administrator to ensure the effective response to bullying incidents. Also, to fight against bullying behavior, they should be made a comprehensive treatment and addressing bullying behavior with multifaceted approach, include health policy makers, educators, mental health professionals, and community leaders. Each of them has specific function. Health policy makers develop comprehensive anti-bullying policies. Educators, which implement anti-bullying programs. Mental health professionals, which focus on providing counseling and support services. And community leaders promote awareness and support for victims. Bullying among teenagers is a critical issue and has serious implications for both individual and society. In Egypt and globally, addressing such a problem requires comprehensive and multifaceted approach through collaboration with health policy makers, educators, and mental health professionals and community leaders. to create safe and supportive environment for teenagers, integrating culture-relevant therapy as Islamic therapy, and along with social and emotional learning, can reduce bullying behavior. Also, continued research and sustained intervention may be essential to foster a more inclusive and empathetic society. Thank you for your attention. I'm open to any question you might
Okay.
have.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Hiba, for your presentation. It's very, very interesting slides that I can read in your presentation. So I can see that you mentioned about peer mediation. So how we can implement peer mediation in taking the patient of bullying?
I can't hear you.
Peer mediation. You said in some slide that peer mediation is
Peer
kind of
mediation, okay.
treatment that can help the patient with bullying. So how can we practice of implement that intervention in our country?
Peer trained for to how to be aware of such behavior and observe of such behavior and report about it, and trained also for how to support the victims, basically, and after that, notify for such behavior to the responsible person, authority figure, and after that to community leaders.
Oh, okay. So it's very interesting because I think that intervention is need to pay attention in our country. Okay, we have another questions. How we involve our friends and in taking the patient with bullying? Involve a
How?
friend as a social support in taking the patient with bullying.
So sorry.
How we involve our friends to take the patient with bullying.
Took the patient of bullying?
Yes, correct. Bullying.
Bullying.
Okay, how we involve our friends to take care and to help the patient with bullying victim or something like that.
I can't understand your question.
Oh, really? I mean, how we involve a friend. So we can use a friend or we can use a friend as support system to help them in taking the patient with bullying. Friends,
Do
yes.
you mean patients as a characteristics of to be patient with such behavior in school or?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Correct.
There is this skills we trained as emotional intelligence skills, social skills, how to control our emotions in front of such behavior, and through acceptance another person at face value without punishing their behavior, and trying to resolve such conflict with the students and help them to express feeling without use anger or aggression.
Oh, okay. So it means we need more psychological support in patient with taking the bullying. Okay. The next question is, how are the government rules or regulation in Egypt related to the bullying that occurs among teenagers?
Regulation?
Yes, in your country maybe.
There is policies and laws to confront against such behaviors. Media figures can develop and disseminate such rules, and each institution can use such the general laws and regulation, and to trying to modify it according to the institution.
Okay, thank you so much. So we have another question, Dr. Hiba. The question is, what the intervention that most effective given to the bullies and victim at school?
The most effective in what?
Effective treatment. What is the most effective treatment that we can give in schools, school bullying?
There is spiritual figures that help us to apply Islamic therapy through media and through meeting in each school and make a discussion with students and teenagers about such behavior and trying to identify their concept and beliefs towards such behaviors and develop of spiritual principle in such teenagers through being emphasized with another person and accept another person at face value without any labeling or approving.
Okay, very interesting. So we have another question again. Can a parenting style that compare in its child with other children have an impact on bullying? So you can read in the chat box. Can a parenting style that compare in children
Okay.
with other
Can
bullying can
parenting
have an
style to
impact?
compare
Yeah.
its children with others? Yes, parenting style. If the parenting style include aggressive behavior or controlling behavior, which develop anger feeling in the teenagers, which can express them in inappropriate manner, such school and with their peers in close schoolmates.
Oke,
Some
oke,
parents.
Mbak Vina, Mbak Vina, ada pertanyaan lagi? Okay, wait a second. We still have prepared the questions. Ada pertanyaan? Oh yeah. Okay. Wait a second. We still have prepared the questions. Okay, the question is, what is the social media role in Egypt to provide information on bullying?
Social
As you can see in the chat box here, social media role, a social role in Egypt to provide information on bullying. If you
social
have
media
experience.
and through community
Yes,
leaders
correct. Yeah.
make meetings in schools and any private institution as clubs and any place of collection of such teenagers.
Okay. Okay, thank you so much. So is there any question for the audience? Would you mind to ask directly to Dr. Heba?
So,
Oke, mungkin bisa bertanya langsung kepada beliaunya. Sorry, I speak in bahasa. I ask them to ask directly to you. Wait a second. We still have maybe 5 minutes again. We still have 5 minutes before you, and at the end of this presentations. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Okay, I think there's no question again, Dr. Heba. And we now at the end of this presentation, we would like to say thank you so much for your attention in this webinar, and we have a certificate for you.
Thanks for your
certificate.
invitation.
Okay. Yes. Okay. Okay. Sebelahnya. Okay. Okay, this certificate is present for you for your participation in our webinar, and thank you so much for your time, Dr. Hiba.
Thanks, Dr.
Okay, and have a good day, and thank you. Oke, Mbak Vina, sekarang disambung. Ya. Okay.
All right, thank you, Mr. Adi. We are now moving another speaker from Indonesia. Here is Mr. Ners Muhammad Khairul Amin, Magister of Nursing, Pediatric Nursing Specialist. Hello, Mr. Edo. Can you hear my voice?
I pause here.
Okay.
Yes, very, very clear.
Yes, okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
I will read your curriculum vitae. He is a nursing lecturer in the Faculty of Health Science, Universitas Muhammadiyah Magelang. He is an experienced physiatric nursing lecturer and has high qualification in the field of mental health. Her topic is for today is complementary therapies in bullying. Okay. Okay. Are you ready, Mr. Irul?
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay. You will have a 13-minute presentation. Please welcome Mr.
Yes.
Muhammad Khairul.
Oke, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
I apologize in advance if my English is not good. Let me introduce myself. My name is Muhammad Khairul Amin. You can call me Irul. Today I will present the topic material bullying and complementary therapy. Have you ever seen something like this? Okay, I'm sorry. Okay. Have you ever seen something like this? Or this? Yeah. Okay. What is bullying? Bullying is when people repeatedly and intentionally use words or actions against someone or a group of people to cause distress and rise to their well-being. Bullying can happen anywhere. It can be in school, at home, at work, in online social space, via text messaging, or via email. What type of bullying? Okay, I'm so sorry.
Sorry, in here we have trouble.
Okay, I'm sorry, I had a trouble about my device. Can I try once more again? Okay, Mr. Pras, can you help me? Okay, thank you, Mr. Pras. Okay, can I repeat it? Okay. Type of bullying. What are the type of bullying? They are physical, verbal, social, and cyber. I think in Canada is not much different from Indonesia, as started by Dr. Muhammad Luka. The first type is physical. Physical bullying is bullying carried out by involving physical means such as injuring someone's body. Physical bullying includes hitting, kicking, pinching, pushing, and destroying other people's things. And the second, verbal bullying is intimidation that involve words, either written or spoken. Verbal bullying include teasing, calling inappropriate name, teasing, insulting, and threatening. And then social bullying is bullying that result in damage to a person's reputation or relationship. The social bullying includes lying, spreading negative rumor, humiliating someone, and ostracizing someone. And the last, cyberbullying is intimidation behavior carried out using digital technology. Cyberbullying includes uploading inappropriate images or video, spreading gossip online, and using other people information on social media. What are the causes of bullying? There are two factors, bully victim and bullies. The first, bully victim. Victim has a deficient in physical and psychological aspect, and then not good at communication, less able to defend himself, have a lot of self confidence, and have few friends. About bullies, as of from or prevent, he had been a victim of violence before, so he always felt the threatened, always wanting to control and dominate. Living in a family, then that often fight and is violent. Hang out with peers who are support or spectacular of bullying, with supervision at school or family, and the mass media often display acts in of violence. What are the signs that a child is being bullied? The first, generally always restless and anxious. Experience signs of physical violence such as bruise, cuts, stresses, or unusual scare. Reluctant or afraid to go to the school or participate in school event. Lost damaged electronic, clothing, or the other personal item. Often ask for money for unclear reasons, disgrace academic achievement at school, often children asked to go home from school, not sleeping well, or even having nightmares, complain of pain in the stomach, hair of other parts of the body, feeling stressed after using gadgets, being secret type or a skipping script and becoming aggressive or having sudden outburst of anger. And then what the impact of bullying? The first, by bullies behaving aggressive and impulsive, and then not afraid to commit violence, strong character, always want to dominate other, potential to become criminal, and rise of getting involved in legal problems. About witness, make a trauma, will depress, stress, feel guilty, often avoid problem and worry. And then about bully victim, physical impact such as feeling dizzy, having injury body part of the other, and then physical impact such as anxiety, fear, depression, and even maybe make bully victim is suicide. Academic impact such as declining grade, and then not going to school, and social impact such as being shunned by friends. How about anti-bullying program in Indonesia? UNICEF with Ministry of Education and Culture solve bullying with the root program. The root program aims to make Indonesian students become intelligent students with character. There are many programs. The first distribution questionnaire. This questionnaire is useful for measuring the extent of knowledge or experience of student and teacher regarding bullying, so that later teacher and student can more easily determine the right program to carry on. And then choose a change agent. Change agents are people whose role is to carry out the root program. When determined agent of change, teachers can choose students who are considered to have a big role, have good behavior, and are trusted by their friends. And then change agents are given training. This training provides material about bullying to agent of change. Listen to student story. In the classroom, teachers can also carry out the root program by giving students the opportunity to tell story, whether story about school subject or whatever. Because apart from being useful from improving public speaking skill, this is also useful for making students more comfortable and more open to telling story with the teacher. So empathy, sometimes one of the most effective way to prevent bullying with students is so empathy and positioning yourself as the student when teaching, because this can useful in making students feel comfortable carrying out activity at school, thereby reducing the desire to bully. And then always pay attention to student movement. Bullying or bullying that students do at school usually start with things that may seem simple to teachers, such as not paying attention to their friend when talking, insulting other students, even though it seems like they are joking, and using sarcastic words. And then appropriate everything students do and do not different between students. One of the triggers for bullying at school is because students feel jealous of other students. To prevent this from happening, don't forget to appreciate all students and don't different between students at all. When it turns out there, they are students who seem to have difficulty understanding the lesson material. it is a good idea for the teacher not to immediately call in the student. So, what can be done to solve this problem, especially the victim psychology? There are two interventions, primary and complementary therapy. I'm sorry, it is incorrect. Complementary therapy is used to describe therapeutic techniques that are not part of conventional medicine. Complementary therapy are used as a complement or addition to conventional medicine. Complementary therapy may be used together with conventional medical treatment to support and enhance our quality of life and well-being. And complementary therapy include relaxation, talking therapy, meditation, visualization, acupuncture, aromatherapy, reflexology, music therapy, art therapy, music, herbal medicine, and the other. Complementary therapy for the vaccine Julie psychology, there are many therapy. The first physical exercise from Philippot and 2021, yoga or mindfulness, CBT, cognitive behavior therapy, writing therapy, support group therapy, and the other. In physical exercise, the session include the game that highlight the feeling of movement, postural control, and slow relay race balancing in combination with other cooperative interactive game focused on fun and social contact rather than focusing on the perform. And then yoga, mindfulness, exercise and breathing can greatly improve the mental and physical health because it strengthens the mind and body connection, giving young people a greater mind-body confidence. Yoga and mindfulness are intervention methods have I'm sorry. Yoga and mindfulness are interventions that use the two action. Scientific methods have confirmed that saying the way of one breathe and exercise can improve problem with anger, depression, and anxiety. And then CBT, studies conducted by the Center for Disease Control and Prevention show that teens who have experienced bullying are at much higher risk of development depression, and anxiety, and other mental health concerns. One of the treatment options to help with teen most is cognitive behavioral therapy or CBT. CBT can provide the guidance teen needs to deal with the mental effect of bullying by teaching them the coping technique and improve the pattern. And then writing therapy, expressive writing therapy is one of therapy which use writing to reflect cognition and deep affection about traumatic or unpleasant experience. Expressive writing therapy is carried out with psychotherapy or other counseling approach that can be done individual and in group. Writing therapy can reduce anxiety about bullying. And then the last therapy, complementary therapy is support group. Support group therapy conclusive concentrates on providing adequate support and reinforcement to the bullying victim, cultivating empathy to restore their confidence and resilience. Furthermore, this therapy can be implemented in mental health and community nursing setting as an alternative therapy. Okay, I think that's enough presentation for me. Sorry if there are any
Siapa itu bullying?
mistakes, and thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Irul, for your presentation. And we can see that bullying have some complementary therapy in nursing. Like, okay, for example, how we implement yoga in your therapy? Okay, how we can implement yoga or some kind maybe meditation therapy. Is the same therapy with yoga, or what is the difference between yoga and some kind of zikir or something like that?
Can you repeat this answer, Mr. Raji?
Okay.
I'm sorry.
As you mentioned in the in your slide that we have yoga, or we have another therapy, another complementary therapy for treat the patient with bullying. So is that yoga same with the some kind of dhikr or another complementary therapy? Boleh Pak? Iya. Nanti disambung ya. Oke, baru bisa.
Are you still in here?
Kelihatan nggak zoomnya itu? Belum connect atau gimana? Belum connect. Bisa connect. Oh, mati. Ya wis. Silakan Mbak pertanyaannya aja dibacakan.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Adi. I think yoga and physiotherapy are slightly different. Yoga is used activity and to remove problem and problem, and physiotherapy we use spiritual and talk to remove problem, physical problem.
Okay, so it means that we have there is some different from the basic therapy between yoga and some kind of meditations. Okay, we have another question. Another question from Prameswari from UNIMMA: how to activate peer involvement in preventing bullying from complementary therapy approach. Okay, we have a lot of questions for you, Mr. Irul. So, okay, the second question is how to activate peer involvement in preventing bullying from a complementary therapy approach. Maybe you have you have some perspective or insight, or maybe some kind of answer about that question.
Sorry,
Okay, it's okay. Mbak Purko, online enggak? Tukeran mungkin sebentar. Iya. Itu on cam ya? Bisa nyala kameranya ya? Oh iya.
Friendship with peers can play an important role as a child more support because they can be a good place to
Mas Fairul? Okay, Mr. Fairul, you can try to speak and we can see your voice.
check this, check.
Oke, silakan Pak Fairul.
Purbo di sini. I'm so sorry, Mr. Vadim.
Okay.
I have a trouble with my partner and my
Okay. Okay. Okay, we still have some a few questions that arise from this discussion. So the first question is how to activate the peer involvement in preventing bullying from a problem approach is the first question. So maybe you can provide your answer, please.
bisik. Okay, thank you. Can we can use the Internasional program anti-bullying in Indonesia and we use the school we presentation about anti-bullying like roots program.
Okay, and then
Okay, I'm so sorry.
okay, we still have three questions again, Mr. Ridul. Is everything okay with your laptop? So we can start this discussion because
Okay,
we still have
I'm so
maybe 10
sorry.
minutes. 10 minutes again before the time left. Okay, the second question is, how is the phenomenon of bullying that is currently in Indonesia? Maybe you have some experience how to evaluate or observe the bullying case in Indonesia. It's the second question from Eris Sulistina. Maybe you can give some answer for us. Have I do?
Okay, I'm so sorry.
Okay, you can
Okay.
share your experience maybe with a simple
Thank
simple
you,
answer.
Mr. Ati. How about head worker to reduce bullying in Indonesia? Maybe head worker can work together with school by giving a presentation about program anti-bullying. And then, how about phenomena bullying in Indonesia? The phenomenon bullying in Indonesia still exists and is still widespread, especially cyberbullying, because currently social media is used in our country starting from small children. Okay.
Okay. Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Edo. This is give some fresh perspective from your answer about cyberbullying and also how to how to solve the bullying in Indonesia. So we move to the next question. Is possible that the trauma of children who are victim of bullying process into adult even though they have received comprehensive therapy or treatment? The question came from Dr. Bunga Shiva. Okay, we still have maybe 3 or 4 questions again, Mr. Dino. Okay. You
Trauma
can
can
say
be-
with a short answer about this question.
Okay, thank you, Mr.
Okay.
Ati. Trauma can be cured or reduced with primary medicine, like medicine. So maybe we must go to psychiater and we have get medicine, and then maybe we use complementary therapy like CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, and maybe writing therapy and cognitive therapy.
Okay, thank you so much for your answer. I hope this answer can help Dr. Bunga Siva about the questions. The next question is from Ita Fauzia from Sarjito Hospital. As bullying is a multiple factor cause in Indonesia, please advise simple, feasible, and sustainable act to avoid the bullying among teenagers. Maybe you can have some advice about healthcare professional to prevent bullying in teenagers. Okay, simple, feasible advice. Maybe you can provide soon the question.
Okay, maybe we have how to overcome this in Indonesia by conducting anti-bullying in school. Maybe we can use big group counseling program.
Masih kurang waktunya. Masih kurang.
Mr. Ati,
Okay.
we can use peer group counseling program.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. We still have 5 minutes again before we move to the last presenter. Maybe 2 more questions again for you. The first is, how do we raise awareness among people who like to bully? This came from Nugrahini from UNIMMA. How do we raise awareness among people who like to bully? Mbak yang terakhir dibacakan dia pertanyaannya. Yang terakhir dibaca pertanyaannya, kemudian di closing juga kemudian dia iya. Iya.
Maybe,
Keras suaranya. Ya.
maybe with program in the wood education and society, or in government, or in the other tadi.
Oke, silakan Mbak Vina di komentari.
Okay, Mr. Irul, we have last the question. How to choose the right complementary therapy for each individual, both bully or victim?
Maybe we can use writing therapy and peer group support, or like cognitive behavior therapy, Miss.
Okay, Mr. Irul, thank you so much for your presentation for today.
Okay, welcome. I'm so sorry if I have
It's
much
okay.
mistake.
It's okay, Mr. Irul. And we have certificate for you.
Tadi
For operator.
Tadi sini apa? Belum.
Okay, we'll be waiting. Okay. Can we take snapshot first with Mr. Irul? Oh, okay. All right. Okay. Yes. Okay, thank you. Finally, we will have the last speaker from Philippines. Professor Jeffrey.
Hello, good morning. Okay.
Good morning. So I have joined the meeting. Okay. Dikenalkan dulu.
Okay, we'll read your curriculum vitae. Engineer Assistant Professor Jacqueline Joyce Geller, College Master of Art in Nursing, College of Nursing, Our Lady of Fatima University, Philippines. With the topic for today is treatment of bullying and its effectiveness in Philippines. She has extensive experience in providing training and workshop on psychological first aid, mental health, and the Mental Health Gap Action Program, or MHGAP. Are you ready, Professor Jacqueline?
Yes, I am. Good
Okay.
morning.
You will have 30 minutes. Please welcome Professor Jacqueline.
Hello, good morning. I hope I am audible, and I hope
Yes.
I am sharing the screen well. I'm
Yes,
sorry,
of
we
course.
had a very bad weather here in the Philippines. There is this typhoon and southwest monsoon. But anyway, again, good morning, everyone. So I'm here to talk about complementary therapy in psychiatric nursing. I'll be focusing on the role and application of complementary therapies in psychiatric nursing practice here in the Philippines. So again, I am a program head of the College of Nursing. So just in context, I deal mostly now with nursing students. So, yes, but previously I have been assigned at a military hospital. And so most of our cases deals with post-traumatic stress disorders, depression, anxiety. So that's what you would feel as I go through my discussion. Now, let's first understand what is this complementary psychiatric therapy. Earlier, I've heard all the speakers talk about bullying, and it's really a mental health concern as it affects the bully and the victims as well. And they may be one of your prospective patients as you go through the mental health practice. So the therapies that we will discuss today will also be applying to these victims of bullying and also to general population experiencing, again, depression, anxiety, post-traumatic stress, and other adjustment disorders. When we say complementary therapy, again, these are the non-traditional interventions. These are interventions that we use alongside traditional treatments to help improve mental health condition. Also, just for us.
Sorry, Dr. Jacqueline, I think your slide is has a trouble. We can see your slide. Maybe you can close your PowerPoint and then close again.
All right.
Okay, it's okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I will.
Then you can stop again.
I can share again.
Okay.
Or wait, I'll just close my previous slide and then I'll share my PowerPoint. And then
I think it's enough. You don't need to show the full size. It is okay for us.
How about this one? Can you see this?
Yes, it's very clear. You can continue your presentation.
If I do this, does it change?
Okay.
Can you still see the changes on the screen? All right.
Okay, I think it's okay.
Am I on the extended screen or is it just the presentation that you can see?
Yes, you can continue your presentation. I think it's fine.
All right.
The slide is fine. Okay.
All right. So thank you. So again, this is just the first substantial slide that I have shown. Anyway, so again, when we say psychiatric, traditional psychiatric treatment, now we are referring to the typical use of psychotropic medications, psychotherapy, cognitive behavioral therapy, treatments that are prescribed by psychiatrists themselves. So they are the established modalities for treating mental health conditions. But again, the purpose of doing complementary psychiatric therapy is not really to provide primary treatment, but rather to augment the treatment for our clients. All right. Okay. Now, for my presentation, there shall be 5 important contents. I'll be giving you a run-through on the traditional healing practices in the Philippines. We'll talk about the complementary therapies. We'll talk about the integration of complementary therapies with traditional psychiatry. We'll also deal with the benefits of complementary therapies. And also, of course, we will conclude our discussion with a short slides. Now, let's start first with the traditional healing practices in the Philippines. Now, we are within the same Asian region, so I would say that we may have some similar practices. Now, these are the practices that are not professionally standardized. That means as nurses, we don't do this, but just for context, there are still some rural communities in the Philippines who make use of traditional healing practices to manage conditions such as depression, anxiety, and other mental health conditions. We have what we call as our hilot. Hilot is a Tagalog term for Filipino massage. So the aim is really to restore balance and promote healing in the body. We also have what we call as the albularyo. These are the individuals who deal greatly with herbs, with plants, with herbal supplementation. So there are, again, established herbs that can help minimize anxiety, help manage depression and other mental health conditions. The manghihilot, these are the individuals who are trained to alleviate pain, improve circulation, and promote mental well-being by performing massages in different parts of the body using certain traditional oils. And then lastly, we do have the babaylan. The babaylan are the spiritual leaders. They are the healers who make use of rituals, divination. It's very spiritual in nature that also deals to address individuals with physical, mental, and emotional issues. But again, professionally speaking, these individuals are not professionally trained. These practices can be seen in some rural areas of the Philippines, most especially those areas by which modern medicine may not be very accessible to. We may not share the same religion, but still for Filipinos, your faith in your religion, our faith in our religion can also provide comfort, strength, and sense of purpose, which also has a profound impact on our own mental well-being. And this is quoted from a clinical psychologist here in the Philippines. Now, that's just the traditional side of complementary psychiatric practices. Next, I would like to talk more about the complementary therapies that we now perform in clinical areas, most especially during the clinical rotations of our nursing students, and also as psychiatric nurses in mental health wards. I have divided these complementary psychiatric therapies into three. I will talk about mindfulness and meditation. We will talk about movement therapies, and we will talk about art therapies. First, let's talk about mindfulness and meditation. Nowadays, the use of mindfulness as a complementary therapy is getting bigger in the Philippines. When we say mindfulness, that is when our mental health can be achieved by focusing on the awareness on what is at the present moment. It is when we calmly acknowledge and we accept our own feelings and thoughts and our bodily sensations, making use of these feelings, making use of these emotions as a therapeutic technique. While meditation is the technique that promotes relaxation itself, its focus, and self-awareness. Now, the use of both mindfulness and meditations have been greatly used in the treatment because it was found to really reduce stress, anxiety, and symptoms of depression. There is also a big practice now on mindfulness, most especially during the pandemic areas, during the COVID-19 pandemic period. Many are going into mindfulness to help them deal with the mental health issues that they have encountered because of the current health conditions. Now, also, the practice of mindfulness and meditations have shown great improvement on how we regulate our emotion, on how we improve our attention, and how we promote our overall mental well-being. Now, these are some mindfulness exercises that we can do anywhere. And this is actually some of the exercises that I do on my patients and also among my nursing students. So we do the body scan. It is a technique wherein we try to feel all the parts of our body. It's like we are getting acquainted again with our own self. So we start from the toes going up until we feel the integration of our body and mind. Now, we also have mindful seeing, mindful listening, mindful breathing. Now, during this practice, we try to breathe, we look at the surroundings, we listen to what we do. And that's, again, being at the present. While the 5 senses exercise also helps us perform all of these 3, but looking into our own, the 5 major senses. So again, it's actually very easy. You remember 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. What's that? We look at the surroundings and we try to see what are the 5 things around us. Now, can you do that for me, please? Can you stop for a moment, look at your surroundings, and notice 5 different objects around you? All right, so I'll give you 10 seconds to do that. It will just be very quick because I only have 30 minutes for the presentation. So, okay, just look around you. Again, notice 5 things. Now, let's go to number 4. Feel 4 objects around you. Let's now focus our attention on our sense of touch. What are the 4 sensations that you can feel? Are there anything around you that is rough, soft, smooth, cold maybe, or warm. Now let's focus on these sensations. And then let's go to number 3. Let's notice 3 things that we can hear around us. Can you hear the breeze of the wind? Can you hear the voice of the person around you? Can you hear your own breathing? Or maybe you have your cat or your dog around you. Now, again, notice those 3 things, or listen to those 3 things around you. And then let's go to number 2. Can you name 2 smells that you can smell at the moment? Maybe it's the smell of your mom cooking something, or maybe the scent of your perfume, or the smell of the coffee around you. Again, notice the smells that you recognize. And then lastly, for number 1, what's the current taste on your mouth? Can you taste the coffee that you just sipped? Or maybe the candy that you're sipping? Or can you still taste what you had for breakfast? Now again, by doing this 5 senses exercise, we are being mindful of where we are, what we are doing. We are being mindful of the present event. And that's very important in promoting relaxation, calmness. And I hope in that very short exercise, you were able to feel how you're able to feel calm, you feel good, and that distracted you away from all the things that stresses you out. Now, apart from mindfulness, well, just a case study, mindfulness-based interventions are found to be very effective. Actually, in a study from the University of the Philippines Department of Psychiatry, there is around 72% improvement among those individuals suffering from stress, anxiety, depression, and pain. And this is in comparison to the 65% of acupuncture. And again, we don't do acupuncture because as nurses, we are not trained to do so, but we can perform mindfulness-based stress reduction techniques. And 72% effectiveness, it's very high. All right? Now, apart from mindfulness and meditation, we also perform movement therapies, movement activities. Now, in the Philippines, we usually do yoga and Zumba. I hope you are familiar with both. Now, when we say yoga, it's with different postures, with breathing exercises, and meditation. Again, the aim is to improve physical and mental health. It promotes your flexibility, it promotes proper muscle tonicity, and it promotes calmness as you do all of these postures. While Zumba is, well, it's quite the opposite of the calm and peaceful nature of yoga. But Zumba is actually a fitness program that involves cardio movements using Latin-inspired dance. So it is quite fast rhythm. There are many movements involved, but both of them have been associated with reduced stress, improved mood, better motivation, and increased feeling of calmness. Now, we usually do this interchangeably. So we do yoga today, tomorrow Zumba for most of our clients. And we usually integrate this among student-based activities if we want our students to distress, okay, after a long, stressful day of studying and doing tasks. We do have some of these programs in school, which you can also perform at yours. Now, it has been integrated into mental health care as complementary therapy, again, to promote relaxation, reduce the symptoms of anxiety, depression, and of course, to promote overall mental well-being. Apart from that, these movement therapies help promote self-esteem. That's why this is very much effective, not only for institutionalized patients, but also for individuals who are still having a good quality of life. They are living with depression. These are individuals living with bipolar conditions, or maybe individuals living with anxiety disorders. And then last, for the set of complementary therapies that I will discuss are the art and expressive therapies. Now, when we see art and expressive therapies, these are therapies that make use of artistic materials, creativity, the way it could be a different way on expressing their emotions to reduce stress and promote self-discovery. Now, we all know sometimes talking verbally about our problem can be quite stressful for most. In most cases, you will encounter individuals trying to hide what they have inside because they are not yet ready to share their problems. You may also encounter patients very hesitant to talk because they are too embarrassed sharing their problems. Now, during this initial phases of nurse-patient relationship, if you are still, well, if there is still a barrier that prevents the patient from opening up to you, the use of art and expressive therapies can be very useful, as they will not be sharing their problems verbally, but rather all of these unconscious thoughts that they are dealing with, all of the stresses that they are dealing with, they'll be able to channel it out by choosing certain colors, or maybe by the different strokes that they will be doing during painting sessions or during art sessions. And all of these colors, these strokes, the texture that they provide or the texture that they do in the drawings that they have decided to do will actually give us an insight of what they are actually feeling inside. When you ask them to draw how they go about their life on a daily basis, or for them to draw their family, or for them to draw their support group. Now, all of these will help us or will give us an insight of the things that the patient do not like to tell us at that moment. And that would be a great opportunity for you to connect to the patient more and develop that rapport with you so that you can really explore more of how they feel. Now, these creative expression in doing all of these art and expressive therapies can actually provide a safe and supportive outlet for self-expression. This will also help reduce the symptoms of anxiety, depression, and also it can also promote personal growth. Now, there are many techniques in performing art and expressive therapies, and that would greatly depend on the interest of the patient and, of course, the availability of resources. You may use paints, you may use various coloring materials such as crayons or oil pastels, or you can make use of paper plates. You can use of various things around you by which the patient can make it into different object, and they can again channel out what they don't want to say into something that they can show. All right, so that's the basic idea of the arts and expressive therapies. And again, I have just presented you 3 of the most common therapies that we have been performing and that I have found to be very effective among our clients and also among my students. Because as the program head, I deal with student problems most of the time. I deal with students suffering from anxiety, depression. However, they still wish to continue the nursing profession. So the use of these therapies greatly helps them feel better, promotes their emotional well-being, and it gives them more motivation to pursue what they are currently pursuing. Now, understanding these complementary therapy may not be enough. Thus, we will talk about the third part of my discussion. We will try to integrate complementary therapies with traditional psychiatry. As I have mentioned earlier during my introduction, we have to remember that it is the traditional psychiatry that provides primary treatment for our clients. All right? The use of complementary therapies will just simply augment or supplement what we are giving traditionally. And for us to successfully integrate our complementary therapies with the prescribed traditional psychiatry, it is very important to promote collaboration between psychiatrists and complementary therapies. And as nurses, we will be part of that team. We must collaborate with the psychiatrists of the patient for us to promote effective treatment of mental health disorders. Definitely, the importance of this collaboration will help or will give them a unique set of skills and knowledge on the table, giving the client a more comprehensive and personalized treatment plan for the patients. Now, the use of a multidisciplinary team can also be essential in providing the best care for patients, our clients, to integrate complementary therapies so it would better result to a good outcome. All right. The use of complementary therapies will help reduce severity of symptoms. It will help improve mood and emotional regulation, and again, enhance the overall well-being of clients. Now, for the fourth part, let's talk about the general benefits of complementary therapy. Let's talk about its benefits and efficacy. Now, whenever we use complementary therapy, we don't just put that in mind, oh, hey, I want to perform this on my patient. No, we don't just come up with that decision. We always have to remember, and this is one of the benefits of the use of complementary therapies. These therapies are all evidence-based. That means there is increasing body of evidences that will help us support the efficacy of our complementary psychiatry therapies, just like what I have shown you earlier. The use of mindfulness, the use of meditation, the use of arts, all of the three general classifications of complementary therapies that I have introduced you, they're all supported by literature. And if you would be looking at various journals, you can see how effective these therapies are in reducing the symptoms of anxiety, depression, and also PTSD. Another is that the use of complementary therapy enhances traditional psychiatric intervention. As we said, complementary therapies augment the traditional treatment. Now, this, for example, whenever we use yoga, yes, it's effective. It helps reduce mood and symptoms. It improves mood and it reduces the symptoms of anxiety. If you use that on top of, let's say, the use of anti-anxiety meds, or if the patient is already undergoing cognitive behavioral therapy, then just imagine the better outcomes that we may observe among our patients. And, of course, one of the benefits would also be the changes in the psychological nature of the patient, the changes in the emotional well-being of the patient, and of course, in the physical benefits of the patient. Yoga promotes flexibility. It reduces stress at the same time. Zumba, it improves body coordination. At the same time, it also alleviates stress and anxiety. All right? When we do arts therapy, it promotes creativity. It promotes hand-eye coordination. At the same time, it also helps the patient channel out all of the negative feelings that they have into something that would be more beautiful, into something that is also very creative, very aesthetic, and very artistic. All right? Now, apart from those three important benefits, let us not forget that complementary therapy promotes stress reduction. It also promotes better sleep, and sleep is very integral among our clients. It also helps enhance mood, and it promotes social engagement. And we know that socialization is also one of the things that we must observe among our clients. And I am now nearing through the end of my presentation. So, just to conclude, there are three things that complementary interventions or complementary therapy can help us as nurses. As nurses, we can provide holistic management of our client.
Sorry, Dr. Joyce.
Yes, I'm sorry.
You have 5 minutes left.
All right. Thank you. Yes.
Yes.
All right. So I am already on my third to the last slide. Thank you. Thank you for reminding me. It acknowledges the interconnectedness of mind, body, and spirit. We treat the patient as a whole person rather than just sets of symptoms. Secondly, complementary interventions will give us options. It is an alternative management. It will give us options by which the patient can be more motivated to be part of. And of course, generally, complementary therapy can also promote empowerment and it can promote individual self-care. However, there might be some challenges that we may come along the way. First is the lack of understanding and acceptance. Yes, there will always be people saying that it may not be effective, but it is our challenge as nurses to help them feel how effective these therapies are. There are also some regulatory and legal concerns because some complementary therapies are again not standardized. So there is not yet a standard rule on how to go about these complementary therapy. Sometimes resources can also be constrained. There might be less individuals trained to perform complementary interventions. Patients may also find it difficult and hard to accept and to engage, and that's another challenge that we have to face. Some would have evidence-based issues. There are some complementary therapies, most especially those that are still new. Okay, so we also have to consider whether it's really effective or not. And lastly, cultural stigma. Not every culture is open to different types of complementary interventions. And we have to be sensitive to the cultural changes or to the cultural needs of our clients. Now, in the future, we expect that complementary interventions would be used to really be integrated into traditional and modern approaches, that the use of these complementary interventions can go down to the level of the community so that there will be more individuals who would be available to use this. The use of technology can be used also. We can use the advantage of these technology in performing complementary interventions. And this can also promote collaborative research and education among mental health care providers. And hopefully, there can be policy and regulatory frameworks making complementary interventions more standardized. So these are my reference for this presentation. And I would like to quote Florence Nightingale before I end this talk, that nursing is a progressive art, such that to stand still is to go backwards. So as nurses, we have to remember that we always need to change. We have to embrace changes, that we have to progress for the betterment of our clients. With that, thank you, everyone. If you have any questions, you may email me and you may ask me now. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Jacqueline. It's very interesting topic. And now we move to the Q&A or question and answer. For the audience, if you have any questions, please can leave question in the column or you can ask the speaker. And I have a much interesting traditional in Philippines. Hilot para kabuhi, right? Is it right?
Are you referring to Hilot?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's traditional message treatment. How can traditional heal, for example, anxiety, etc.? Or is this message just for relaxation?
Yes, it's basically for relaxation. And we know that whenever we are stressed, when we are anxious, relaxation can help us alleviate those stress and anxiety. Yeah.
Okay. In column, we have question. I read for you from Irfan Arif. How about reduce bullying case?
All right. So I think this is one question asking me how to solve or how to reduce bullying cases by means of complementary interventions. Now, typically when we say bullying, we have the bully and we have the victim. Definitely the victim will benefit from these complementary interventions, as the victim can experience anxiety, they can also experience depression and all. But at the same time as the bully themselves, okay, in most cases, the bullies bully individual because it's their way of expressing, in most cases, this is another way of them getting the attention of other people. So they themselves, the bully themselves may also be suffering from depression. They may also be suffering from anxiety. And from that standpoint, if we try to manage the anxiety and depression that these bullies are actually experiencing by means of these complementary therapies, then we can also help reduce the cases of bullying in school or in other places. I hope that answers the question.
Yes. Okay, thank you for your answer. And second question, what complementary therapy is most suitable for victim and bullies?
For the victims, I would greatly suggest the use of arts and expressive therapies, because sometimes the bullies do not like, or rather, the victims do not like to tell people that they are being bullied. And these are thoughts, these are emotions that they try to keep to themselves. And but they can express all of these non-verbally by means of arts and creativity. While for the bullies, it's best for them to do movement therapy such as yoga and Zumba, because they can channel out all the negative energies, that instead of bullying someone, they will be doing something much more useful of those energy. So that's my suggestion.
Okay, thank you. For another question, okay, complementary therapy, especially for teenagers bullying cases, will need parent support. How in Philippines the parents will take a part in this situation? Like in Indonesia, this bullying problem rise various reaction among parents.
Well, actually, yes, I do agree.
Yeah.
Well, again, in both cases, parents of the bullies, sometimes they don't accept the fact that their children are indeed the bullies. And that's usually the challenge. Some parents don't acknowledge it as a problem because in some cases, the bullies do not look like bullies at home. So when they are out in public, that's when they are actually doing things, doing or bullying those people around them. And it has been proven in some studies that bullies themselves also experience familial problems. Therefore, it would be best if the family themselves undergo complementary therapy as they help each other. If we reduce the number of bullies, then we are also reducing the number of bullying cases. Now, it's not enough for us to deal only with victims. I think it's also best enough for us to deal with the bullies themselves because they are the source of the problem. If we manage them, if the family is well managed, because if the cause of the problem is within the family themselves, and we manage the family through these simple complementary therapies, then we can also help greatly reduce the cases of bullying. Again, it could be a rampant problem in Indonesia, but that is also a problem in the Philippines. There are even some schools nowadays, even the Department of Education in the Philippines, there is this separate program to really manage bullying in schools. So it's an existing problem, and it's a problem that the government and school administrators are really trying to solve. Yes, it just so happened one of my friend is actually as the mental health team in the Department of Education, and they focus on bullying. So that's why I'm really familiar with this. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, for the next question, how is comprehensive treatment for bullies in the Philippines? Can the traditional therapy and complementary therapy, I'm sorry, can the traditional therapy you describe be applied to bullies?
Yes, for
Can
the
you
bullies,
describe?
yeah, most of them are being prescribed with cognitive behavioral therapy. So we have to change their behavior by changing their mindset. So basically, it's really what is advised to them. And we do have licensed clinical psychologists to perform cognitive behavioral therapy among these bullies.
Okay. The key is mindset, right?
Okay. Yes, I think the next question is on mindfulness therapy. Yes, mindfulness is also very important. Most especially in the victims of sexual violence. Why? Sometimes they don't acknowledge the fact, or sometimes they try to hide the fact that they are being violated sexually. And in most cases, these individuals who experience sexual violence, okay, they have the tendency to detach themselves from reality just for them to feel as if it's really not happening. By performing mindfulness therapy, they will be more acquainted with what is in the present instead of dealing with what they have experienced in the past. It's helping them realize the good things that they have now and understanding the importance of these good things over to what they have experienced in the past. Letting them feel that it's okay for them to move on. It's okay for them to go further and deal with the problem so they can live peacefully and happily at the present. Yes.
Okay, the last question, Dr. Jacqueline.
Yeah.
Just okay.
By the way, I'm
How
not yet
can
a
you?
doctor. I'm still in the process of finishing my dissertation.
Oh yes. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, I continue. How can we as healthcare professionals in the Philippines strengthen their mental resilience so they can face the bullying they encounter while coordinating with the authorities?
Yes, thank you. Always
Okay.
remember that we ourselves are patients also. Our mental health matters. If we are not mentally well, we cannot help those people as well. So again, we cannot give what we don't have. So that's why as mental health professionals, it's very important for us to go back to the basics, and that is promoting self-awareness. We have to be aware of our strengths. We have to be aware of our weaknesses. We have to strengthen our weaknesses, and we have to address all of these things. So if we feel that we are being bullied, let's go back to basics. Let's again be mindful of our actions. Let's realize what I have, what I do not have, and maybe strengthen what I don't have and be a better nurse. We must also acknowledge, it's very important for us to acknowledge the problems that we are actually facing. Sometimes we have the tendency to just put them on the side, deal with the problems, and little by little, all of these issues, all of these emotional issues are eating us up inside. And that is not making us effective nurses. And yes, nurses are being bullied by authorities. And I don't know if that's a problem in your country, but it is in ours. That's why there are so many Filipino nurses going out of the country. But then again, as nurses, again, we can improve our resilience by always remembering the most important part or the most important area in psychiatric nursing, which is again self-awareness. So how can we build resilience? Again, we must be aware of our own self. And I think I hope I answered the question of Susie here.
Yes. Okay, thank you, Dr. Jacqueline. So, our question is done. Again, thank you so much for your presentation and answering, and for participation. Have a lot question, right? Okay, the presentation is done. We have a certificate for you. Okay, can we take snapshot? Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you, Dr. Jacqueline.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you for the opportunity.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, before we closing this discussion, I'm going to summarize from this presentation. As nurse, this conference discussed how we can utilize complementary therapies as supportive therapy for our patients, especially teenagers who experience bullying. Again, thank you so much and for your attention during the discussion. Vida, it is now your turn to lead this webinar. Thank you. Have a nice day. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Thank you, Vinasela and Mr. Adi, and all the speaker for the wonderful discussion. We have a lot of new knowledge today. Let's move to the end of this event. Before that, I will conclude this morning event. This webinar has opened new horizon regarding the role of complementary therapies in overcoming mental health problem, especially bullying in adults can helpful. The knowledge we have grasped today can be applied in daily nursing practice. And please ask the participant to take a photo together before I close the event. Please turn on the camera, please. Izin Bapak Ibu untuk menghidupkan kamera nggih. Sesi foto bersama. Thank you. Then we move to the end of this event. I would like to say thank you to the Dean and Head of Nursing Studies in the Faculty of Health Science, University Muhammadiyah Magelang, all the committee and all the participants for joining us today. Thank you so much, and I hope we will meet again in the coming webinar. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.